Hello, and a warm welcome to all of you. Welcome back to BION, the channel dedicated to sharing knowledge for comprehensive personal development through great books. Today, BION is excited to introduce you to a fascinating book that I've roughly translated as The Wisdom of Wolves. Unlike the philosophical works, biographies, or psychology books we've explored before, which mostly center on human experiences, this book focuses on a very special subject, the wolf. As you delve into this book, you might be surprised to discover that the creature often portrayed in popular culture as dark, bloodthirsty, and vicious is, in truth, a philosopher of the wild. The wolf's way of life, simple yet powerful, rich with emotion, compassion, and principle, offers profound lessons on how to live, raise children, communicate, and even lead in a world defined by the stressful, suffocating, and uncertain pace of modern cities. These beings from nature can bring us healing, strength for the soul, and a renewed inspiration for survival. The author of this book is Ellie H. Radinger. She was once a successful, high-paid lawyer, but one day, in the middle of a trial, a sudden thought struck her. Why do I spend my days surrounded by deception, complexity, arguments, and endless calculations with others? Is this truly all my life is meant to be? And so, she made the bold decision to leave behind a career many people dream of and applied to become an intern at a wolf sanctuary in Indiana. Her journey didn't stop there. She later continued her arduous path into the wilds of Minnesota, where she lived in close proximity to wild wolves. Through countless, priceless experiences in the wilderness, Radner documented the stories of these wolves, along with the life philosophies she learned and felt from them. All of these insights are compiled within this very book. I hope this book will serve as a gift from nature, a mirror reflecting your own soul, helping us to know wolves, not just by their howls in the wild night, but also to ask ourselves, what can I learn from the wolf, these philosopher friends of the forest? And now, let's dive into today's sharing. Have you ever wondered why, among countless species, dogs became our closest companions? Archaeological and genetic studies reveal that around 15,000 to 40,000 years ago, our ancestors chose to domesticate wolves, not apes or monkeys even, though primates were far more intelligent. The reason is profound. Wolves possess high emotional intelligence and, above all, live with deep affection, placing their family and community above individual interests. Over thousands of years of domestication, these selected wolves evolved into the loyal dogs we know today. The author of the book I've been reading once observed a wolf pack and described an atmosphere brimming with harmony, relaxation, and love. When not hunting, wolf pups frolic everywhere, playing with their parents, siblings, and even the aunts and uncles of the pack. Despite their demanding lives, adult wolves always make time for their young, sometimes even intentionally losing during play to make the pups happier and more confident. This isn't just a game. It is a subtle and skillful form of education, a way of nurturing strength through love. This beautiful scene reminds me of the advice in the book Asterisk. Busy fathers can still be good fathers, asterisk. Play with your children, because that is the best way to inspire them and build a foundation of trust. The wolf's way of raising their young with love and presence is something many of us humans still struggle to achieve. Even more remarkably, caring for the young is not just the responsibility of the wolf parents, it is the duty of the entire pack. Wolf pups grow up, enveloped in the embrace of collective love, where family and community are always by their side. This nurturing environment shapes wolves into beings that are both strong and compassionate, a lesson in communal care that resonates deeply. Wolves truly understand the meaning of love and are always ready to sacrifice for their family. A touching story from Yellowstone's Lamar Valley illustrates this perfectly. A grown female wolf from the Lamar pack was ambushed and surrounded by a rival pack, the Mollies. Just as she was about to be overwhelmed, a young 2-year-old female wolf from her own pack fearlessly charged into the fray. The young wolf, knowing she was the fastest in her pack and familiar with every corner of the valley, used her advantage to distract the mollies, luring them away and allowing her companion to escape to safety. In the end, both wolves returned to their pack unharmed, a testament to their incredible bond. This is the very embodiment of solidarity and self-sacrifice. In more severe situations, wolves have been known to give their lives, using their bodies as shields to protect others, never returning from the battlefield. Such acts are not driven by mere survival instinct but by a deep emotional connection and a noble sense of sacrifice. Within the wolf family, these powerful bonds and a profound sense of respect are ever present, defining their social fabric. Much of this strength stems from their clear and consistent method of educating the young. The author once witnessed a scene where a wolf pack was moving through the forest. More than 10 adult wolves walked in a serious, orderly line at the front, while a playful pup dawdled at the back, completely out of sync with the group. The first time the pup fell behind, the pack patiently stopped and waited without a word. When the pup lingered again, they stopped a second time. But on the third occasion, seeing no change in the pup's behavior, all the adults silently turned and continued on their way. Panicked at being left behind, the pup scrambled to catch a pan from that day forward. It never kept the pack waiting again. This method of teaching is incredibly thought-provoking. In many human families, parents lack unity in their approach to child. One parent might try to control everything while the other spoils the child. Grandparents might secretly break the rules, like offering snacks against the parents' wishes. This inconsistency creates loopholes for children to exploit, allowing them to turn to one adult when another refuses their demands. Clearly, we humans could learn from the wolves acting as one unified family, patient yet consistent in our teaching. Education, as the wolves show us, is not about commands or scolding, but about unity and alignment. Furthermore, wolves amaze us with their ability to nurture emotions through bonding rituals. Every day, the entire pack, from the oldest to the youngest, engages in these rituals. They groom each other, bask in the sun together, and play. What appears simple is, in fact, a powerful love language that strengthens trust and deepens their connection. The image of wolves howling together on a full moon night, often portrayed as eerie, is actually a sacred ritual expressing family unity. In that moment, the entire pack blends their voices into one harmonious call, a symphony of body and soul. These rituals are the invisible threads that bind them together, creating a resilient and cohesive family unit. In stark contrast, modern human society seems to be losing the power of these rituals. Unlike wolves who practice daily acts of bonding, many people today only meet through rushed text messages. A 2022 Google survey revealed that 80% of conversations between parents and children in urban areas lasted less than 3 minutes, typically revolving around practical matters like tuition fees or exam results. Deeper rituals like a morning hug, reading a story together at bedtime, or spending just 10 minutes listening without judgment are becoming increasingly rare. It is no wonder, then, that many families live under the same roof, yet feel emotionally distant, like strangers sharing a space. Even significant holidays, like the Lunar New Year, once filled with meaningful bonding, rituals cleaning the house, making traditional cakes, honoring ancestors, giving lucky money, and visiting neighbors have, for many, become mere obligations. They have transformed into occasions for displaying wealth or even chores to be escaped. A 2023 study by the Hanoi Institute of Sociology showed that 65% of young people felt the Tet was stressful because they were expected to visit bosses or partners instead of spending quality time with their loved ones. Today, the very word ritual often brings to mind restrictions, formalities, or pressure. But if we could learn from the wolves and create heartfelt rituals, everything could change. It doesn't have to mean visiting dozens of people out of a sense of duty. A ritual could be as simple as one evening where the family sits together and shares stories from the past year, being truly present. Without judgment, Without the obsession to capture photos or rush to post on social media, we can choose to live in the moment with the people who matter most. We can cherish daily family meals instead of letting everyone retreat to their own corner with just a phone and a bowl of food. Studies show that families who eat dinner together at least 4 times a week have a 30% lower divorce rate, and their children experience 40% fewer psychological problems. When we sit together, savor the food cooked by our loved ones, and feel the love in every dish, we realize that we are cared for, nourished, and complete. From deep within, a genuine sense of gratitude will arise, a delicate, lasting feeling that nourishes every relationship and strengthens our bonds. That is the essence of true rituals. Simple, sincere, consistent actions that awaken a sense of belonging and harmony within us. As the message in the film, Asterisk, When Life Gives You Lemons, Asterisk, beautifully conveys, happiness is not found in material possessions, but in the precious moments we share with one another. Here's how to elevate your leadership. Inspired by wolves. For a long time, we've held the misconception that animals fight for leadership solely to gain mating rights and dominate the pack. However, this observation is primarily based on wolves kept in captivity. The behavior of zoo wolves doesn't reflect the true nature of their counterparts in the wild. When animals are confined, resources become scarce, forcing them into a state of heightened aggression to survive. This environment fosters a rigid hierarchy, where the strongest individual rules through force. It is a dynamic reminiscent of the big fish eats small fish model that humans often apply in our own competitive, modern survival environments. However, in the vast wilderness, the alpha wolf is not necessarily the most physically dominant. In fact, the strongest members of the pack often take on the most demanding roles, like leading the hunt and breaking trails through deep snow, thereby preserving the strength and energy of the alpha pair. In a wild wolf pack, leadership is rarely held by a single individual. Instead, it's typically a shared responsibility between a loyal, experienced pair bound by a strong sense of duty. They lead the pack together, but the final decisions are often heavily influenced by the female. This is because the feminine energy within the pack brings a sense of calmness, decisive problem-solving abilities, and a tolerance that isn't driven by an aggressive desire to dominate. This unique dynamic helps explain why wolves often form strong bonds more easily with women, who may share these similar nurturing and intuitive qualities. A wolf earns the trust and respect of its pack, and consequently its leadership position, when it embodies 2 fundamental traits: courage and tolerance. The first is courage, but it must be a courage tempered with wisdom. This ensures the leader upholds the core principle of selflessness, always acting for the greater good of the pack. Only with this kind of heart and bravery can an alpha make firm, life or death decisions, knowing precisely when to push forward and when to let go of pride and retreat at the opportune moment. A powerful example of this was observed when a wolf pack chased a large deer to the edge of a cliff. The cornered deer turned to face them, ready to leap to its death rather than be taken. If reckless aggression had been the driving force, the wolves might have pursued it to the very end. Instead, the alpha wolf immediately halted the hunt, signaling the pack to stand down. It understood that pushing further could endanger the entire group. This decision was a profound display of refined leadership, prioritizing the safety and well-being of the collective over individual triumph. The second essential quality is tolerance, a trait often underestimated in leadership, but one that is truly the root of sustainability and long-term success. The alpha's tolerance is demonstrated in 3 distinct ways. First, it is shown toward fellow pack members. An alpha leader treats others with generosity and care. The legendary Wolf 21, a dominant leader in Yellowstone, was famously gentle with his family. After a successful hunt, he would often let the others eat their fill first while he rested nearby. Because of this compassionate approach, all the members of his pack loved and respected him deeply. Second, tolerance shines through in conflict resolution. An alpha doesn't crush disputes with brute force, but rather employs emotional intelligence to listen, empathize, and de-escalate tensions. Leading with empathy is the wolf's true art. It is incredibly rare for an alpha to kill a rival. Once an opponent shows submission, the alpha spares them. For wolves, victory isn't about annihilation. It's about restoring order and maintaining the delicate balance of the pack. Through these consistent actions, the alpha builds an enduring and unshakable credibility. This reminds me of my own experience when I first started as a guide in Yellowstone Park. Initially, I would ask tourists, "Where would you like to go?" This approach almost always led to chaos, with endless arguments and conflicting desires. Later, I changed my strategy, drawing inspiration from the wolves. I confidently introduced myself as the expert and proposed the most suitable route based on my knowledge. I would say, "I know this area very well. This is the route I recommend for you." From that moment on, everything went smoothly. People trusted my judgment, respected my expertise, and frequently sought my advice. This was the powerful leadership lesson I learned from wolves. True credibility is unbuilt on power or authority, but on confidence, courage, and the profound capacity to give. What does it truly mean to live well in the present? Perhaps we can find a profound answer by observing the lives of wolves and learning from their instinctual wisdom. First, wolves always express their intentions with remarkable clarity. They possess a sophisticated array of communication techniques. Researchers have even identified as many as 21 distinct types of wolf howls, but the most crucial aspect is that all their expressions are direct and simple. In contrast, humans often find themselves entangled in conflicts because our language, while complex, frequently fails to convey truth or direct meaning. Furthermore, many people use words not to communicate but to vent emotions, asserting their ego through irritation, complaints, blame, or accusations. For wolves, the world is much simpler. If they are happy, they show happiness. If they are displeased, they show displeasure. Yes is yes, and no is no. They don't resort to ambiguous phrases like maybe, sort of, or the passive-aggressive. Why are you like this? Consequently, communication within a wolf pack is always precise and efficient. This reveals the first key to living authentically in the present, learning to express our true thoughts and feelings without unnecessary complication. Second, wolves intrinsically understand the concept of enough. They hunt only what is necessary for their survival and do not engage in senseless killing. Wolves never waste resources. They utilize every part of their food. A fascinating example of this is their cooperative relationship with ravens. Wolves often share their carcasses with these intelligent birds. Ravens in turn act as the pack's eyes in the sky, flying overhead to alert them to danger, warning them if a carcass is toxic, or calling the wolves when they find a prey animal whose hide is too thick for their beaks to penetrate. When it's time to share the meal, wolves don't eat their fill first and leave only scraps behind. Instead, they allow the ravens to eat alongside them, demonstrating a natural sense of community. This bond between wolves and ravens transcends mere symbiosis. It blossoms into what can only be described as a genuine friendship. The author of the book, this is based on, once witnessed a deeply moving scene. A wolf stood for a long time beside a dead raven, its posture conveying a clear sense of sorrow. The wolf then gently carried its feathered friend everywhere it went, before finally placing the raveness body in a snowy cave and carefully burying it with snow. In its grief, the wolf gave its companion a final, dignified resting place. Some might argue that wolves are cruel, citing instances where they have killed an entire flock of sheep. However, this perspective is incomplete. The author once spoke with a shepherd in the United States and asked him how he felt when wolves took his sheep. The shepherd replied that he felt regret, not for the wolf's actions, but because he had failed in his duty to protect his flock. He did not blame the wolves, acknowledging that they were simply following their instincts. Normally, wolves will kill a single deer to feed their pack, but inside a pen, the sheep's complete defenselessness can trigger a killing frenzy. Even then, the wolves might kill many, but will typically only take 1 or 2 carcasses with them. In a fascinating turn of events, after this same shepherd installed electric fences, one wolf that received a shock began to patrol the outside of the fence line, establishing it as its territory, and in doing so kept other predators away. It unintentionally became a guardian for the very flock it once threatened. Wolves are not the greedy or brutal creatures of folklore. On the contrary, they embody the principles of sufficiency and sharing, teaching us a powerful lesson on how to live lightly and contentedly in the present. Third, wolves never allow anxiety about the future to consume their present moment. The author frequently poses a reflective question throughout her book. If I were a wolf, what would I do? This question became a powerful anchor for her. Once, she was scheduled to fly from Germany to the United States, but a sudden volcanic eruption grounded all flights, completely ruining 6 months of meticulous planning. She felt a wave of frustration, anger, and profound disappointment wash over her. But as she took a moment to calm down, the question surfaced in her mind. If I were a wolf, what would I do? Her mind immediately drifted back to her time observing wolves in the wild. She had never seen them panic or fall into despair, even after a failed hunt. When wolves are unable to find prey, their entire family faces the threat of hunger. Yet, they don't spiral into stress. They simply rest, lying quietly on the ground in a state of stillness, conserving their energy before trying again later. This powerful insight helped her release her own frustration. If the flight was cancelled, then she simply would not fly. She could do other things instead. Instantly, a sense of relief washed over her, and she calmly turned her attention back to her writing. Reflecting on this, one has to wonder if we humans, with our advanced and complex brains, trapped ourselves in a glass cage of overanalysis and worry. Meanwhile, wolves live by the simple, powerful principles of survival. They don't cling to outcomes. They fight wholeheartedly for what they need and rest peacefully when they must. They love their families and their communities instinctively and selflessly, merging with the rhythm of nature in profound silence. Perhaps true wisdom isn't found in overthinking, but in rinsing away the artificial complications and negative energies we accumulate, allowing us to return to the pure, untroubled essence of our being. In life, we cannot avoid misunderstandings, criticism, failures, or moments of deep disappointment, even dissatisfaction with ourselves. In those difficult times, you can try asking yourself, if I were a wolf, what would I do? Wolves do not hesitate. They do not drown in overthinking or wallow in suffering. They simply live joyfully and peacefully in the present moment, doing their absolute best to move forward with love and purpose. This may be the most precious lesson the wolves can teach us. A lesson about the purity of existence itself. Thank you for listening to today's video. If you found this message helpful, please consider sharing it with those who might need to hear it. Don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell to catch the newest videos each week. Once again, thank you, and we will see you in the next video. Wishing you peace on your journey back to yourself.